Welcome back, Nick and Lex here. Thank you so much for joining me to another episode of Music with Nick. Today we got another marathon from Matt, and it's another 90s smasher. These are all bands I've never... Well, there's one band now that I look over. There's one I have heard, Built to Spill, but that's basically all I've heard. So we're going to do another song, another marathon, for Matt. So thank you, Matt. First of all, thank you, Matt, for making the video happening, for sponsoring the marathon. I do appreciate it very much. And basically, Matt, you're the only one who requests 90 songs. So it is an important part of the channel because most songs or most people or just most of the content that I cover the most is from the 70s or the 80s, but not the 90s. So I really want to thank you for, spicing it up a little bit, choosing different content, because you could also do, just more 80s and 70s stuff, which I love, of course, but it's also nice to have a little bit of 90s and 2000s and later 2000s. I think also another one who does that a lot is Rudy. He chooses stuff from 2017, 2020, 2022, so forth. So so the first band we're gonna do is Treepeople, Something Vicious for Tomorrow, and this is from, let's see, 1992. All right. Then we're gonna jump over to let's see, Fly Me to the Moon album from 95, and I do need my glasses for Caustic Resin. This is from this is the song Spore. Then we're gonna do Built to Spill, their song, cool, from Ultimate Alternative Waves. Let's see what year this is. 93. Okay, cool. And then we're gonna do Butterfly Train. What's Falling About? Let me see. I can't see. Yeah, What's Falling About? Oh, shoot. Let me see. Is it failing or falling? It's falling. Here we go. Okay. We needed Professor Nick there for a second. And then we're going to do the last one, Out of the Delta, from the band Small. This is from Finished One, 2017. See? So a little bit of the 90s, a little bit of 2000s. Really cool. So let's start it off with Treepeople. Here we go. And thanks so much, everyone. If you're new to the channel, if you like 90s music, please give me your like or dislike, subscribe, whatever you want, leave a comment. You're welcome. So let's go ahead. Thank you, Matt. Let's start it off. Okay, so there's something happening. I have to restart. I have to restart Spotify. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, so Spotify is reset, and here we go. reminds me a little bit of Iron Maiden, like the whole like like I'm sure, Matt, if you listen to Iron Maiden, Number of the Beast, not the song but the album, check out some tunes on there, maybe Invaders or Children of the Damned. You'll see some similarities. I'm sure they were inspired by Iron Maiden, at least the bass player. I can hear it. Steve Harris. Here we go. Nice, very cool. Very aggressive. I like it. Very cool. I don't know. Let me see. 1992. It's a weird year for it to be so, it sounds more like 80s still, like the 80s metal, but then again it was already like the grunge era. Very different for like a 90s band, the sound. Like maybe like almost like I would say post, some post vibes here, but very cool indeed. Very cool indeed. We're going to go with the Caustic Resin and the song Spore. Let's go. Let's see what that's all about. And that is, I said, 95. Okay, cool. Very, very bizarre covers in this one, I must add. So yeah, it's very thick. The layers are just like, it's layers upon layers of like keyboards and guitars, and it's very like yeah, like the music is very like distorted, and the vocalist is kind of in the back, and it reminds me a little bit of Bowie, not the music but the voice. And it's kind of chaotic, but I like it. It's like you have to be in the mood for it, of course, but it's not bad at all. It's just something, it's very very thick, very busy. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, and the recording is just very, I don't know how to explain it, man, but it's, there's a lot of sound coming, but chord wise there's not happening a lot, but there's a lot of just like the drumming and the bass and the keyboard and the guitars is very like I don't know how to explain it, but very cool though. Let's go back a little bit. There you go. You know, if you want some weird music, leave it to Matt. You know, weird 90s music. It's like, it's good, you know, but it's all distorted and it's just like a lot to take in. I guess on a first listen, it's a lot to, maybe you get used to it, but I didn't dislike it. It's just a lot, but it was good. It was good. But yeah, I feel like there were like too distorted. Everything was on the same channel. They didn't separate their instruments, and everybody was just like soloing a little bit. Like the bass was, and the guitar was like, but cool though, cool. Once or twice I've said to Matt, no, I don't like it. But no, I'm being honest. If I would have hated it, I would tell you. Okay, it's just, you know, it's just different from the music that I usually listen to. So, or grunge, when I listen to grunge. Okay, so Built to Spill. This is Built to Spill, the song. I really wanted to listen to this by myself, but I did not. So I'm happy I didn't. Built to Spill. Here we go. this is so good. I mean, it's so. I remember in the 90s. Well, I was not that old, but I was a 90s kid, and I'm super happy that there's now a 90s show. Like that 70s show, that 90s show. So I get all the references, but it was basically at that time in the 90s, I was not listening to grunge. It's so funny. I was listening to, you know, Iron Maiden and Metallica, and I was basically, I would buy like The Offspring or Nirvana and then go to school, and in school they were like, hey, can I borrow your Nirvana and I'll give you like a Megadeth? And I'm like, yeah, you know. So but I remember when I bought my first pedal, it was an Ibanez, like super distortion, and it sounded like that, and I was like in my room, and my mom was like, what the hell are you doing, you know? And but it's so funny now that I have like all these pedals and I have this recording studio. I can never go that wild. I don't know why. Like I would love to just like turn it all up, but I'm so, I don't know. I guess the time is not that time anymore where you can just like record like as loud as possible and very random, you know. I'm kind of sad that that's over, and I loved like the 90s, you know. I think I loved when I was living in them as a child, and there were no cell phones, and we were always outside, we're always surfing, and we're always like, you know. And I wasn't playing guitar back then, but I guess I could play like 2 chords, and we were always about like just like making noise. But then I really learned, I went to school, and then I totally changed my whole perspective about music changed. And I also started listening to other music, and I just got obsessed. But I do like this genre. I like the Smashing Pumpkins. I like Nirvana, the crazy Nirvana, you know, the first couple of albums. And it's a good time, man. It's so much fun. And I'm sure these guys, when they listen to their stuff right now, they must be like, man, we're some crazy, you know, kids. And because we didn't have anything other to do, we were not on our PCs, and we didn't have, yes, we had video games, but it was all like, you know, it wasn't as immersive as it's today. Now you can lose yourself and play 10 hours, you know, because you're an open world. But we had it just like simple. I just love that time, you know. Okay, back to the music. I just love to ramble about bullshit. I love it though.
Build to spill, carry out your function, and occasionally fill. You will come alive to something real, then realize you're built to spill. This is how you'll always feel it.
See, that's the early school of is it Tom or it's Tom Morello, you know, with the and I had like a kill switch. I remember doing all this stuff, and it's so sad that now I'm like, oh, I'm too loud. I'm so super conscious when I play with other people. I'm usually don't have any distortion on, and I start the solo, and it's, I don't know. And then I'm like, oh, maybe it's too jazzy. I have to turn it down to like more pentatonic, like just play the blues scale, you know, like be safe. Because then people are like, what the, you know, when you're in a rock setting and you don't want to freak people out. I don't know. It's just so weird. And back in the day when we would have jams, like when we didn't know how to play, nobody knew how to play. We had like, this was back in Mexico, and we had one guy on the drums, and we're all from like the American school. So all of us kind of like we're from different cultures. I was from Germany. There were some guys from the States. And then there was, it was just very international, the whole thing. But we had a drummer, and he was just like pounding on that thing, but he was pretty good for what we were doing. And I was just like, I had my super loud distortion, and after the song we would like scream at each other because we like had like the volume still on, you know, like when you stop playing and it's like instead of turning down your guitar and, you know, talk. It's just that stuff that's so cool when you're little and when you're kids, and yeah, and when you're an adult you kind of lose all that stuff, I guess. But well, it's just because it reminds me so much. Just music reminds me of that time when we just didn't care if a solo was all like out of tune or too distorted or just two notes like that was a solo for us instead of you know, I don't know. So okay, Built to Spill, and then I was like thinking, how did they come up with the name? Maybe they were driving in a car, and I was like, oh man, this cup holder is like Built to Spill, you know? That's the cool thing, that we would come out with names like Broken Chair, because like this guy, a friend of mine, like sat on the chair and it broke, and like, hey, we should have a band called Broken Chair, and I don't know if it exists, but yeah, we had all these little like ideas and stuff. Okay, Butterfly Train, What's Falling About, Falling About, and this is from 1994. All right, here we go.
Wishing you the best.
It's so cool because it does remind me so much of, that time. It's really nostalgic, man, like to listen to this because it's just like I love that they just don't care. It's like they don't have to be master musicians to record an album and express themselves, and that's true. You don't have to be, and I guess sometimes when you do study, you kind of like block that out of your, you become like this perfectionist, and it kind of sucks because it takes you so long to create something because you want it to be perfect, and you can't accept any errors and any if something's too loud or like spiking and too distorted, and it creates like a lot of problems. But yeah, that's the way it is. And I think these bands at that time, they didn't give a damn about that, and that's cool. That's different. All right, so now we're gonna finish it off with the band Small out of the Delta, and this is from 2017. I'm sure this is gonna sound way different than the 90s. Let's go. Okay. Now you're gonna sit with me and listen to this.
What is it?
Something I'm doing a marathon for Matt, and yeah, we just did some 90s music, really cool.
Okay.
But very like, it just sounds very 90s, and that's what I was like. The nostalgia.
Yeah, it was kicking in.
Yeah, because when I used to play like with Alex, and it was just like, oh, this madre. Hey, you kept it on.
I did.
What did your boss say?
She took a while to realize, but I was poking around yesterday to see if my hole was still open, and it was. But by the time
you have to get closer to the camera.
But you guys have seen it before.
It's so small.
By the time I finished, though, my nose hurt so bad that I didn't want to take it out. And this morning, I'm like, I'm going to take it out. But it was still pretty sore. It's still a little bit sore.
You slept with it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, well, I'll let you continue.
You're not going to sit in? Oh, Matt, can you believe it? No, but she's busy. I know you're busy.
I have lots of preparations to do for New Year, but I was gonna say we should definitely do videos.
Yeah, we will.
Thank you.
Well,
Matt,
this is the last track,
and thank you everyone for everything. Peace. I'm just kidding. Okay.
See ya. There she goes. Well, that's a nice. It's always nice to have Alexia at least pop in. A little. So you see that I'm not doing this without her on purpose. She has stuff to do, she's busy, and she'd rather do something else, also because of her back. But it's end of the year, we're gonna go on some vacations, and we're gonna cook, so we have to prep. So okay, let me just go back to the song 2017 Small. Here we go. obviously Eddie Vedder inspired. He sounds just like him on like the early stuff like Pearl Jam. The 10 comes to mind, but also the acoustic stuff that Eddie Vedder does. He's just like, for Alexia and me, Eddie Vedder, he's like one of the America's number one, like singers. He's just such a legend by now, and he's such a good like person, and personality wise he's just astonishing. And just like, if you've ever seen the movie Into the Wild, you know what I'm talking about. That soundtrack is just amazing. If you haven't, please watch it. It's a must watch, and the music beautiful, directed by Sean Penn. It's a masterpiece, that movie. Watch it. And if you like Eddie Vedder, you'll love it. Like, for a 2017 song, this sounded basically right out of the 90s, and very Pearl Jam, like very you know, like Why Go Home, stuff like that, really aggressive Pearl Jam. And the guy literally sounds like Eddie Vedder. I mean, not even like Stone Temple Pilots Eddie Vedder. No, 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 like better, you know. Very hard voice to replicate, because then when he starts to scream, that's when you either sound like him or you don't. And this guy, very close, you know. I'm sure he could be in a cover band, in a Pearl Jam cover band, and deliver just the right, you know, dose. So this was great. Thank you, Matt, for this marathon. Very cool, very nostalgic. I'm literally know already what I'm gonna put on the, you know, thumbnail. Really cool stuff. And I do appreciate that you go out of, you know, the what usually gets posted on the channel, and you inject some, you know, more like newer stuff. I can't say 90s is new, but I mean, at least compared to the 70s stuff. And it's also like just the style of music is so different, because 70s was, that era was a lot of perfection and a lot of care, you know, taken into the music. And there's some psychedelic stuff that's also very out there, but this, I think, was very out there because it was just a time where people didn't really care about, like, oh, this is going to be the solo section on the bridge, and this is going to be our interlude. And, you know, yeah, it was more like, let's just play, you know, and let's just record. So I like that. So thank you so much, everyone who watched the marathon. What do you think? I know this is, I guess, for, you know, 90s. This is more for 90s kids or people that grew up in the during that time, who were maybe teenagers or already adults, or maybe just kids, you know, in that time. And so let us know what you think, everyone. You know, what was your favorite track? Do you listen to 90s music, anything grunge or alternative or post rock? Let me know. But thank you, Matt, so much for the video, for the marathon, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.